Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just a little bit bunged up. I've got, like, my nose is a little bit blocked. I apologise. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the day of the video. Darren, how's it going today? Today, we are at work. We're 5 minutes early. We left 5 minutes late. It's the run-up to Christmas. There is no traffic. It's brilliant. I love it. So I get to cruise here at the nicest speed normal. My miles to the gallon increases because I'm not sat in queues. I love every little aspect of that. Otherwise though, ladies and gentlemen, this morning woke up on time. Well, I actually woke up like a little bit earlier. I've started to wake up when my light's like lighting up now. My alarm clock, which like simulates sunlight. It's normally shit, but like for some reason this week it's actually been working. It's actually been waking me up. Woke up with that on time and got ready. We got Graham out this morning and removed her bedding back into a bed. That's essentially what you got to do. To train a hamster to sleep in its own bed, you have to keep putting the nest back in their bed, and then they keep pulling their nest back out into a different area of the cage which you don't want it in, so you keep doing it until they finally give up, and you bully them into it basically. Otherwise, we're at work until we come back after January. It's fancy, well not fancy, like casual dress, so that's why I'm not wearing a shirt or anything like that, and that's bloody brilliant. It should be like that all the time, but today unfortunately is Christmas jumper day. I don't own any Christmas jumpers, let alone jumpers or jumpers, hey? So I've just gone with a long sleeve green t-shirt. It's festive, right? And we're back home, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going? Should we have a Graham update? Because I don't know what the answer is and I'm trying to figure it out what's going on. Let's be super quiet about this. I don't know where she is. This morning, I don't know if I told you this. This morning we got her out and I moved her bed so that it was upstairs again. Just got to constantly fight that fight. It's still here and it's still got bedding in, but there is a mountain. Oh no, she is at the back there. I can see it. Do you see her move there? So she is sleeping downstairs, but half her bedding is upstairs. Oh, she's gonna come out now. She's gonna be like, Jimmy, if you come back to fuck with my bed, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm excited because I thought she was in a. Because our house is still full of bedding, I just assumed she was in there. It's depressing, Graham. We're gonna have to. One day, but obviously we did it in such a point where she couldn't be bothered to empty it all. Hot damn. Or it was easier to make the bed downstairs than it was to make the bed upstairs. But she still wants to make the bed upstairs, which is why she hasn't moved at all. Who knows? She's a hamster. She probably doesn't put that much probably doesn't put that much thought into it. Right. What's been going on today? Today I got in, I completely forgot about this, but yesterday I fixed a bug and ran some tests and got in today and I broke, well I was greeted by 1,300 failures, test failures, 1,000 of which I think are because my computer fell over, but 290 are because of the fix of the bug, which is going to be a nightmare. And what I've done is I've created a new branch, because that's obviously not going to be done on my branch. Created a new branch, pushed it up to fix the bug and pushed it up to the build server, and I'm letting the build server do the run, so I can get a more accurate figure, because it's definitely 298, but it could be more, I don't know. And we'll see what goes on there. Otherwise, just been going through really minor changes. A load of interesting reading around how you should test exceptions in Java, specifically Java 1.7. Because like the accepted or like the enforced approach through code reviews, if you follow the code guidelines, is to wrap things in try catches and then catch the exception and assert it in there, which is weird because like it's strange because like it makes sense. That's how I used to do it until I moved to a assertion framework that was able to assert it for me. But like I kind of took it as a given that like that wasn't good practice. That wasn't something you did. And then I like thought about it. I'm like, I'm not really sure why. So I like looked into the 3 ways that were options to us, which were like JUnit rules, which are a bit strange. The like expected exception tag in the test tag, which is flawed in the sense that you don't know what it is that's throwing the exception. You can't say like this line needs to throw the exception or whatever. It's like if the setup throws the exception, then the test will still pass even though your code never got ran. which I understand the flaw of that, but then also, like, we have all these weird rules in place because they make sense if we carry on writing hideously large integration tests. And in which case, do integration tests test failure cases, or do unit tests test failure cases? I don't know. Then there's an argument between what the difference is, or if there is a difference between an integration test and an acceptance test. But yeah, like, testing failure cases, apart from like in the display, is much better done in unit testing when you've got more control. But who knows? So I had a really interesting read about that, and I am investigating the possibility of changing some of my interfaces to use concrete classes instead. I live in a weird world at the moment where I have an interface called iValidation rule, which has a generic type on it. The generic type represents the type of object that it's taking in, the type of object that it's validating, that has to pass a validation rule. But then the classes kind of say, like, inject an iValidation rule that takes a date, or an iValidation rule that takes object. But it doesn't, like, it depends on, the chains depend on, they need a greater than rule. They need the greater than rule. But I could inject a less than rule, or a same as rule, or things like that. Or an equal to rule. And the unit tests wouldn't fail, because the unit tests, obviously, when it's doing it, it's injecting mocks. It's not even looking at what's being injected via the inversion of control bollocks. Spring, that's the one. So, because they are reliant on a certain certain validation rule, should I pass the concrete version, or should I pass another interface that sits on top, which is the greater than validate, and then I create a specific interface for the greater than rule, the less than rule, the equal to rule, and all of that, and then just create multiple interfaces. But even then, like, the interfaces will only in theory have one implementation. Am I using interfaces correctly in this way? Like, in the validation chain it makes sense, because there's a scenario where the validation chain has something and it doesn't know what the next step is. So it goes off to a factory and says, hey, I've got this thing, build me the rest of the chain. It builds the rest of the chain, it returns back a generic interface, and then I can just use it. But in these scenarios, I could just use that. And should I rely on the integration tests in order to stop things going wrong? There's like a really interesting thing that I've been like reading up about unit test proliferation. Like, my usual rule of thumb in the world of C# is that you use interfaces, but the mocking frameworks that I use in C# aren't able to mock classes, but Java ones are. Mockito is able to just mock a class without having an interface on it. So the usual argument of, if you put it behind an interface, you may want to use it in the future, and if not, then you have the mock anyway. So that counts as two implementations. So it's probably worth it. But that doesn't really apply. But also, like, it's kind of a, do I have too many interfaces? Am I going to have too many interfaces if I add more? Probably. I don't know, and that's an interesting predicament that I found myself in. Otherwise, I have been, at lunchtime I was looking at my project, which I'm about to jump into now. Laura's not told me she's on her way back yet. Although when she is, it means I'm going to be cooking, so I need to figure out what it is that I am cooking. I believe it's some kind of, is it chili or curry? Brilliant. Okay, so that's easy. It's just rice. Like yesterday I fell out of time and stuff. I'm not even talking to you now, I'm talking to myself. So, I was looking at how to manage processes that I'm building and killing them. This is a problem I hit last night, and it's the same problem I've had before. Essentially, the thing is, I'm creating a process which is technically, as far as that process is concerned, is a command line interface, is a command line thing that closes as soon as the thread's killed. If I close the command line, it doesn't kill the threads that the command line created. So if I just go process.exit, it kills that process and goes, yeah, cool. And then the .NET thing is still running in the background, so that's a problem. Although, a running theme, the thing that enables you to be able to find child processes isn't supported in the .NET Core. Who would have thought it? And I think it's one of them things that's coming in .NET Core 2.0 when it comes. I think I said this to you last night. But up until that point, I'm basically generating a PowerShell script, and I'm just going to execute a PowerShell script that takes the process ID and then just goes bam, 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 bam. Since it's temporary, the problem with that is it's semi-difficult to test in a nice way. But since it's temporary, I'm thinking I'm just going to slap it into the thing and then just make basic. The problem is if it's in dispose methods, then the dispose is going to be called by things in test. I don't know. So yeah, that's what I'm basically doing. I'm generating the script and I'm going to figure out a way of running that script programmatically rather than like just dropping out doing a PowerShell script and going, right, cool, that's dead. Rather than fret and try and figure out a way of doing this or stop and get stuck. I'm just going to get like, bam, that'll do. Essentially hack it fixed and then fix it properly in the future. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've got the script. I've just got to figure out how to pass C# code into it. Which I think is relatively simple. Yeah, and the problem, well, another problem is that my code has a way to run generic stuff, generic scripts and things, but it generates things to like. I'll have to create this again because I basically just want to run it and I don't care what the response is because I'm not expecting a response. It will just kill stuff. But currently, everything I do, it creates like a process handler, and the handler is able to wait asynchronously for the result. But yeah, so I either create something else or I have to call dispose on that and dispose of everything. And then arguably, would the dispose kill? The dispose would run another script that kills itself. There's a problem. So it can't be on the process object itself. It has to be on like something else. You son of a bitch. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got that mother working. Right, okay, so I've got a script. I was trying to debug the code and I realised I still had a thread running in the background. So I have the solution. I have a script that's able to just stop all the child processes. So now, if I rerun the script, how do you comment stuff out in like that? It won't find anything. It'll be like, no, buddy, cannot find a process. Okay, so yeah, that's all good. That is all good in the hood. I just need to figure out a way where I can run this without changing too much of the code, because it's only a temporary fix until the other thing comes back into the .NET Core. But isolating it in a way where I don't have an infinite loop of things that try and kill each other by putting it in the dispose method, and meaning I can mock it out in tests. It's all flooding back to me. I have, just make sure. Yeah, the only PowerShell scripts I've really done before were from, I was doing deployments, and the old way of doing the deployments was using PowerShell scripts, and we moved to the new way. So the only thing that I really had was like, using automatic Visual Studio Online stuff, instead of our own local build server that ran PowerShell scripts that fell over all the time. So the only real experience I had with the PowerShell scripts were like to smooth over the gaps between like what we used to have and the new stuff. So I kind of like half had it all to start with. But it's all flooding back to me. I remember the fun. I now have a PowerShell script. I've got currently... Here you'll see .NET is currently running. So that's infinite looping there. In the background, we also have here, that's something that it's using as well. That needs to be killed. And yeah, there's also a process thing. Now if I trigger that, bam, it's just gone. It's just off. Bye-bye. Well, maybe that's just... Oh no, because Visual Studio is still running. Ignore that. That's just Visual Studio running in the background. I thought that was something of interest. But that's killed it. Now the only thing that's running is like the .NET run, which is important because that's the thing that's actually running my entire program. So that's good. I'm able to pull out the ID and I'm able to pass it to a script. Currently the script is called find child process, so we're going to have to change the name of the script. But yeah, so one of my...
I mean, it was only banter.
Well, my current plan is, and that would mean she has left... Whoops! Oh dear, Laura missed the opportunity to text me when she should have texted me, and now we're going to be rushed for dinner because she's crossed. We have like this system where if she gets to a certain point, she texts me and then I put dinner on, and then it's normally like well timed by the time she gets home. But she fucked it up today. Rice day as well, which means the we need to boil quicker than we normally do because rice takes longer. Okay then, so now my plan is I am in control of when I call dispose. Not dispose, sorry. What happens? So I have a method called... What am I calling currently? From the net test runner, I do .kill process. So I'm calling, I have control of the difference. I need to differentiate between disposing of the process in memory and killing and running this kill script. And that's what I'm just got to figure out how to do that nice and safely, and that's what I'm going to be working on tonight. Probably going to stop now because Laura is on her way back and I've got to cook. But I'm going to be thinking about it in my head. That's what I'm going to be doing. How much time have I had? Let's see, that's cheeky 30 minutes. So I've done an hour of programming today already, putting me close to, well, 4.5 hours of programming in 2 days. And we haven't even finished today yet, boys. We haven't even finished. I'm not planning on going to the gym tonight though, which is why we've got to rush dinner. But something that we're doing, Laura is like working on doing stuff for training. So she has like a specific place set up at the table, look, to do work. So I'll have, she's doing work, so I don't feel bad about doing work. So, fucking hell, I'm enjoying myself though, boys. I'm enjoying myself. Yeah, I've just got to figure out an ingenious way of calling that script without then having that script being called upon itself later. Because I've essentially got to generate an entire new process just to do that in. So, but hey ho. Arguably, if I put it inside the the problem with the dispose method. Is there a chance the dispose method gets called and I don't have control of the mocks? That's the problem. Oh no, because it'll be calling... Because it'd be better... It shouldn't be a problem to put it in the dispose method, because the dispose method checks whether or not the script's finished running. That script that kills the processors just dies immediately. It's just like bam. It's not like that can get into an infinite loop, because it's able to kill the processes it's created. So that's not a problem. It's just a case of making sure it doesn't run when it's not supposed to run. That's the main problem. Because if I'm using a mock and then I just try and kill a mock fucking process that doesn't exist, then it'll start throwing exceptions. Or accidentally killing other processes that just so happen to have the ID that I just accidentally gave out in the mock. We'll figure it out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna have a break for a bit though, because I've been working hard all day, man. Something which I just thought about. As a general rule of thumb, we let the water heat up on the hob. We don't boil the kettle first, and then we don't just put a little bit on, boil the kettle and use already hot water. We use cold water and heat it up on the hob. What do you reckon uses less electricity? Using the kettle to boil it fast, which I'm assuming uses excess energy to boil it fast. You know what I mean? To raise it to temperature quicker might require more energy. Or putting it on the hob. Because I'm assuming that must use more electricity because it does it faster. But I don't know. I just tried to Google it and it's what's better, a kettle on a hob or an electric kettle? Don't care, man. I just want to know for this. So, do I have any reason to slowly warm up water on the hob? Is there any advantage to that rather than just boiling the kettle? And ladies and gentlemen, it's bedtime. Oh Christ, I'm back. Today, ladies and gentlemen, this evening even, we didn't go to the gym today because it looked super busy on the app. It was above peak busyness for some reason. I thought that the week leading up to Christmas, the gym would be quieter than it was the week before, because people would be like, it's Christmas, can't be asked. But that does not seem to be the case this week, with today being the only leading example I have. So instead we just chilled out, we got in Jimmy Jams, put the fire on because it's pretty toasty, and it's toasty but the place is cold, and then just kind of chilled out and stuff. Otherwise, Laura went to bed about like 10:30ish, and I've been programming since then. It's now midnight, I'm about to head off to bed, and it's been going good. I have got the script into source control, and I've now padded it through so that the object that is going to call it has access to it, and has the path and stuff all being populated from the application settings, so that's all good. It's all grand. But yeah, so tomorrow I'm going to be building the infrastructure in order to run it. I think I know what I'm going to do, so there's that. I just need to do it, but I'm not going to do it now because it's late and I'm quite uncomfortable, but the office is cold, which is why I'm not in the office. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is Wednesday. Graham is not having a house, she's not impressed. Tomorrow is Wednesday, middle of the week. Nothing, I don't think anything exciting's happening. So, yeah, more programming, I guess. We're on like a go slow at work, like there's not much going on apart from like, well, I tell you everything I do, so, as you can tell, not much. But yeah, as you get closer and closer to Christmas, you just can't be arsed, so, oh gosh, except for this project. I'm still fighting it, I'm still fighting the fight. But yeah, this script should be able to save my bacon. I've just got to thread it in nicely. So, come back tomorrow and I'll show you how I did that, or tell you how I did that, either way. Okay.